Hello, Saturday friends. I'm going to wait for you to get on. I know it's Saturday, which means there's farmers market started today, downtown Green Bay. That's exciting. I can feel in the air that the chill has left. It is a warmer air. And if you're not from Wisconsin and you're watching, we here in Wisconsin, I think, are so excited. So we're going to get started here in just a couple seconds, even though I know we'll have a lot of people catch up later rather than be on live, since it's Saturday morning, 8:30 here in Wisconsin. It almost feels warm and balmy in our house. I'm like, okay, we need to go get the air on. It is summer. Praise the Lord. So glad that you're joining. As you are joining, you can also share, and it doesn't kick you out of the video. So share this. It's been a really fun journey, and we're on day 25, which 25 just seems like a lot, right? We are going to 31. But 25, it just feels like we're not only on the home stretch, but we've had a lot of days. Like, we've gotten a lot in. Thanks, guys, for being on here. I'm just so grateful that you've been on the journey and that you keep logging on, that you keep watching and sharing the videos, because I'm amazed that there's just so many people who have consistently stuck. And I shouldn't be, because you're great people. But it is amazing how when we just put in the work, it does take work, but hopefully you're seeing results and you're feeling a change. And, after 20 days, when it becomes a habit, now we're just on the home stretch of, okay, let's just apply all of this. I was thinking as I was doing Proverbs 25, and I was going, man, this one really is going to go there and really speak deeply, and I wouldn't say harshly, but boldly to us. And I thought, you know what? There hasn't been a chapter where it was like, well, that was easy. And you know what? Just go and have a great day. And there's no addressing your heart. There's no thinking about yourself. There's no thinking about your mind. There hasn't been a day like that. It's literally been every day. It's like, wow, that is a lot. Like, that is a lot of wisdom, but I need to take that and put it into action. And I think it's amazing, those of you who have commented, and I love when you comment, to say that it really has done something significant, or there's been a day that's really affected you. I think that's the goal of this. I know that's the goal of this, is that Proverbs is saying God loves us, and he's not okay with us just staying stuck. He wants us to be wise and growing. So Proverbs 25, 8 ways of being self-aware. And I looked back, and we did have a day that it was about self-awareness, but this 4 or 5 days later is taking us to the next layer of self-awareness. And I really feel like self-awareness just kind of builds on itself, just like our relationship with Jesus. When we become aware of some things and we fix or change them, then the onion is pulled back and we can be made aware of the next layer of things. And that's not just aware of hurt and trauma and triggers and things that we learn about in Journey to Wholeness, that, God's not going to have you at 7 years old be fully aware of all of the things that are affecting you or will affect you. But at 25, he might give you the first layer of, okay, let's deal with this. And then at 35, you deal with the deeper layer of your past, of trauma or hurt. So we talk about that a lot in Journey to Wholeness. And that's really just how the onion is how I view life, because I really thought that once I got into Journey to Wholeness, and then once I finished it, we did life skills. Once I went to the second level of life skills, like, there's going to come a point where I go, okay, cool, totally healed. Well, that's true of my past hurts and insecurities and traumas I never dealt with. But there are things every day and week and month that are new traumas. I mean, okay, let's put it this way. I am traumatized when someone flips me off in the other car because I guess went too slow, or I'm pretty good about roundabouts, but I'm pretty sure I remember a time I was in someone's lane or didn't go fast enough around a roundabout. We get to the other side and I get flipped off. It was like my heart was beating. My skin was hot. It felt like, oh my gosh, I feel like I just like almost got in a car accident and had a heart attack. And that so like affected me. And I thought, wait, he just went on his way. He's got to feel more gross than me. And I don't know if he felt more gross than me that he flipped me off, but I just felt terrible. And so then the other day, I guess I was at a four-way stop and I was letting someone go, and then I was letting the next person go. And then the person that I was going to go in front of, I guess he thought he needed to go. So I said, go ahead. Well, that something ticked him off. I don't know if that's that I let the other two spots go in the four-way stop or not, but he just did a throw of the hand, one of those. And again, I felt this pit in my gut, and I felt my heart race, and I felt like so stressed out about it, and I don't even know this person. And as he drove away, I just couldn't get it off my chest or out of my gut. And I thought, why is that affecting me? And then I realized I'm also hurting for him, that over a four-way stop that I let him go, or there was confusion. Does he go? Do I go? It made him so angry that he could express that to me. And I thought, what's going on the inside? That road rage is a thing. Honestly, there's so much going on the inside. So that hurt and pain I'm feeling, that stress isn't because I'm scared like they're going to come get me. They flipped me off and drove away, like they'll never see me again is what they're hoping. Those are the ones you hope, and they hope that you don't drive up to the same gas station in a pump next to each other and be like, that's never happened, thank goodness. But it wasn't that I was scared. It was that I thought that is a deep level of trauma and pain and anger. And so anyway, I look at that and I go, I want everyone to get to that onion. And I want them to go, I got to deal with this because it's making me react in a way that I didn't expect. So then when you get through that, so I'm not going to be one that flips you off if you tick me off when we're driving. Like I'm probably beyond that, like anger, anything that would cause that. But my thing could be, I may not be self-aware that maybe I still have an opinion or about everything, or I still talk about everybody. That might be the next one. Like, okay, that's not an anger issue, but the next layer of the onion might be, now you're 30 and you go, I just really always have to say something about somebody. Man, I need to peel that off. I need to be self-aware and get rid of that junk. So that's a layer. Now, we went through a layer, and it was the day in Proverbs we talked about Winnie the Pooh and Tigger and Eeyore, and we talked about being self-aware that you're an Eeyore. Okay, so we can all admit there's these outward external things that we need to become aware of in ourselves. If we're the person who constantly says, when someone says, how are you? I'm okay. Well, first of all, it couldn't have come in better timing that we talked about the Eeyore spirit. Pastor talked about depression. People, I don't believe, want to be Eeyore. I think that they're trying to cry out for help, but maybe it's just through the weather sucks all the time to them, or nothing ever goes their way, or they never got picked for the team, like I talked about. That again, just like road rage, that Eeyore spirit's coming from a deeper thing. So this last week when we addressed depression, I think it's so important that the first step is opening up and acknowledging it. The second step is telling someone and reaching out for help. So this Proverbs 25, I say all of that to say this is yet another layer of that onion. This is for someone who says, oh no, I don't struggle with Eeyore. Oh no, I don't struggle with road rage. I don't struggle with, screaming and yelling at my spouse anymore. Like, we can be more calm, cool, and collected. But this is that next layer. So let's look at it. For some of you, you're going to go, I'll get to this next year, because now that we talked about it, I need to go deal with the earlier part of that, or the outer edge of that onion. This chapter is getting to that, like, and I say it this way because now I'm older. I every month try to evaluate myself, every year for sure. Like, am I a better Sonny through the Jesus filter, through the Jesus lens than I was last year? Okay, now that onion that I still have to pull off of, that is tighter. It's the core. So it's wanting to come off even more difficult. It is not wanting to pull away from the core. Whereas if we can become self-aware and we can go, God changes, he can peel back the top flaky layers that just fall off right away. And each layer, it gets a little more difficult. And that's why some people are on the layer of trauma from their past and that journey to wholeness layer, that counseling layer. Some of us are at the layer that's a little bit on the outer edge to say, I believe I'm struggling with depression. We peel that off and we go, why am I just struggling? What is the core issue? And we begin to discover. So I want you to remember this Proverbs 25 is going to that deep core level of the onion. So it says in Proverbs 25:2, it is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings. As the heavens are high and the earth is deep, so the hearts of kings are unsearchable. You're going, okay, I don't get how that's self-aware. Well, there are a lot of people that, and these are all internal self-awareness, actually. Well, all but a couple are internal self-awareness. There are some people who have loved Jesus for a long time. We already are up to more viewers on a Saturday. Good for you guys. Keep sharing this. This is incredible. Saturday morning, we have this many on. What this is saying is that it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. And it's saying that there are people who they want to know what God is going to do next. They need to know what God wants of them, and they have a problem with trust. It's saying we have to realize it's the glory of God to conceal a matter. Sometimes it's for our benefit that we don't know how it's all going to turn out, that we don't know what the future holds, because if we could look at it, we might give up now. So trust God with the future. That's a self-awareness thing, to realize I want so much control that I am unwilling to give God my full trust, even though I love him and I'm totally a Jesus person. I put in here in self-awareness internally, don't push. Don't push to try to figure out all the things that you're probably just frantically trying to figure out and find out, and maybe it's not yours to know. God will let us know when it's time to know. So being self-aware to trust God with the future. See, it's a deeper level. Okay, the second one, this is verse 6, do not exalt yourself in the king's presence, and do not claim a place among his great men. This would be a self-awareness of let God raise you up and speak on your behalf. Let God raise you up. Let him win your battle or bring your victories, meaning do not exalt yourself in front of people maybe you're trying to impress. A self-awareness is realizing this is going to come off kind of gross if I were to say, yeah, well, I've, done this in the last 10 years. And oh yeah, I know all about that. I also am an expert in that. I would think most people would become self-aware sooner about those kind of things, but I'm amazed at the people that I go, man, I respected them, and then they open their mouth. And one of the things that they may have done when they opened their mouth was they just bragged on themselves. And it says, don't exalt yourself in a king's presence. Do not claim a place among his great men. It's like, just let God raise you up. Number 3, in verse 8, what you have seen with your eyes, do not bring hastily to court. For what will you do in the end if your neighbor puts you to shame? So this is talking about going to court. This doesn't say don't go to court, because some people would say, aren't we never supposed to? Or I've heard Christians should never take anyone to court. That's not what it's saying. It says don't bring something hastily to court. And I put as point 3 of being self-aware, and this is an internal awareness, is learning to wait on timing, because timing is everything. And you might have a real case, or you might have a real issue with someone or something. But if you are hasty in going to court or going to someone in charge, that kind of thing, or you're just hasty at all, you're hasty in buying a house, you're hasty in buying a car, and then you look back and go, oh my gosh, why'd I do that? Because the word hastily is a big word. And be self-aware to not do things hastily, but wait on timing. You'll have a peace when you have a green light with Jesus. We've talked about peace a lot. The fourth thing about being self-aware, like a snow-cooled drink at harvest time, is a trustworthy messenger to the one who sends him. I liked this because it was saying that just earn it. It kind of goes with our last one of of 2 ago, it said, let God raise you up. Like, just let God raise you up and let your actions speak. You don't have to tell everybody everything you did, you do, you know. It's saying a trustworthy messenger who just does the right thing, who just brings you a snow-cooled drink at harvest time. It's basically just do the right thing, and it's going to be visible that you do have a lot to offer. So I put as being self-aware to just try to earn it. Earn it. This is with people. You can't earn anything with God. You can just be obedient to God. But just earn it. Earn the title. I can relate to this as a female in ministry, and I'm never one to jump on a women's lib box, because honestly, I appreciate that there have been times when we were very ready to have kids, or when I wanted to stay home more with the kids, where I would work 2 days a week, and I didn't have this pressure on me to work 5 days a week and to be the one responsible for that. So I enjoy that I get the benefits of being a female, and I'm also getting the respect of being a female who works and earns it. And one thing I've always done is when we've gone into a church or an environment, I'm always just Sonny. Yes, I have my credentials and ordination as a pastor. I wouldn't want to be, or I don't think that like I should be over Sean in the church. He is the priest of our home, therefore he should be the priest of the church. He should be the man, as Adam should have set it straight with Eve. I think the man is the one who is the head of the home and should be spiritually leading. But I also believe and know that women had a place with the disciples, with Jesus. Women had a place in helping plant churches. Women were judges in the Bible. Women were doing the work of God even back in the Bible, and so they still can today. But I've never come into a church working saying, I'm Pastor Sonny, or introducing myself, hi, I'm Pastor Sonny. Probably the only times I've ever had to do that is when I could feel there was this spirit, maybe the competition spirit with a woman or something, and I needed to say it. But most of the time it's just, you know what? If you think of me as a pastor, if you want to call me Pastor Sonny, I earned that I do the functions of a pastor. I don't need to say I'm Bishop John or Prophetess Sonny or Apostle Sonny. Like, what is that? Jesus said, hi, I'm a servant. Yes, I'm actually, Jesus kept calling himself the Son of Man. Like, he was saying, I'm lowering myself so that eventually when he was lifted up, it wasn't because it was his own actions that did that. He did everything to undercut himself, in terms of how the religious had treated themselves. They adorned themselves, and Jesus was just this servant, and he was fine being known as the carpenter's son, the tecton's son. And so I'd rather earn it than just say it. I'm this. So my mom has a great saying, and she says, I love this, and I say it more than I ever thought I would, because when you're a kid, you kind of roll your eyes. She said, if you have to say you is, you ain't. Let that just soak in. If you have to say you is, you ain't. The point of that is most people who already are the owner, they're fine to bring out the plate of food and to bust the table. The person who is trying to get their way, maybe in management, might come out and they want to say, oh yes, I'm the manager here. And that's all a hard thing. Everyone's different. But I think that's very interesting, is those who actually already have that role, they don't have to say who they are. They feel confident in it. So those typically who are trying to read their resume the minute they meet you or their accolades, it's like that says, if you have to say you is, you ain't. Love that one. Okay, 5 of being self-aware. Take social cues. This one probably is an earlier on self-awareness we get, but it says, if you find honey, verse 16, eat just enough. Too much of it, you will vomit. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house. Too much of you, and they will hate you. This is kind of like all the others are like, oh, what do you mean by this verse? And this is kind of like, listen, let's take a little commercial break. Just have some common sense and don't wear out. You're welcome. Love that. Okay, 6, self-awareness. Like a club or a sword or a sharp arrow, verse 18, is one who gives false testimony against a neighbor. Like a broken tooth or a lame foot is reliance on the unfaithful in a time of trouble. Like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on a wound, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Okay, I'm going to talk about grief for a minute and being self-aware for those who are in grief. When people are in mourning, they need comforted. They don't need words. I'm going to say that again. Being self-aware of yourself, that when people are hurting and are mourning and are grieving, they need comforted. They do not need words. They don't need our elegant words, eloquent words, cliches. They don't need to know there's another angel in heaven. They don't need to hear that God needed them more than we did. All of these are painful and hurtful. They are us not being self-aware. They are us trying to sound profound. They are us trying to help in some way. I get that, but we have to sometimes just hold and hug. We need to sometimes just bring food to that family 3 months after the death. When everybody else has gone home, the funeral food is gone, the reception food is gone, and they are still mourning and everybody's back to life. It's being self-aware of what can I do. It's checking on people 6 months and a year on the anniversary of the death, and not trying to avoid people because it makes me uncomfortable, but actually pressing in to help people. Number 7, being self-aware. Verse 25, like cold water to a weary soul is good news from a distant land. That first one, self-awareness in knowing that when you turn to Jesus, word will spread, your reputation, your good name, what God's doing will spread. And even if you feel like you're having opposition from your family or from people you used to hang out with, they're actually curious, and it is a good thing when there is good news from a distant land, meaning you have changed, you are being more like Jesus, your life has changed. But listen right away to the very next verse. Like a muddied spring or excuse me. That's annoying. Okay. Like a muddied spring or a polluted well are the righteous who give way to the wicked. Those two verses are coupled together, 25 and 26. It's saying,